in the quiet shadows of a girl's lost dreams, where innocence once danced in golden beams. A fragile flower bloomed so bright, a spark of hope in endless night. But fate's cruel hand, so cold, so blind, twisted the roots of love and mind. Childhood laughter, innocence stolen, lost in darkness, forever broken. Uncle Claude, with eyes that saw her soul, watched her grow, played his tragic role. Guardian turned ghost, a shadow of grace, watching her bloom only to erase. He saw her smile, so pure, so small, then watched her fall, felt it all. Love turned to ash, hope to dust, in the silence, betrayed by trust. A little girl in pink and lace, once a beacon in time's cruel race. He held her hand through storms and storms, now stands alone as her darkness forms. He saw her innocence fade to black, her heart a battlefield under attack. He knew the day would come too soon, when she'd have to face her doom. We can't go back, she whispered soft, to a lake where her innocence aloft. He saw her eyes so full of pain, and understood fate's unbreakable chain. Love and duty, tears and regret, fighting shadows they can't forget. He loved her still, but knew the end, a tragic chapter they couldn't mend. And so she pulls the triggers await, the life they shared now desolate. Flowers broken, roots undone, love and loss eternally spun. Petals fall like silent tears, fading away through the years. Echoes of a childhood gone, lost in the darkness, forever drawn. Oh, Marielle, child of pain, your tears, your scars, your silent rain. In this cruel, unyielding fate, you carry love and heartbreak both innate. Once a girl with dreams so pure, now a shadow broken and unsure. Walking the line of love and despair, carrying the weight of a world unfair. The flowers that once stood so tall, now lie shattered, broken, small. Like the hopes that once ignited, now just memories faded, blighted. Your innocence, a distant star, lost in the darkness so far, so far. Fate's cruel script written in blood, leaves hearts broken in the flood. And Uncle Claude, with trembling hands, sees her grow into her fate's demands. His love a bitter, twisted vine, knowing soon she'll cross that line. And so she pulls, the triggers wait, the love they shared, the rise, the fall. The flowers once vibrant and alive, now silent, broken, deprived. Petals drift on the cold, dark air, fading away, unaware of the love that once was bright, now lost to endless night.
In Bouquet of Flowers for Marielle, the narrative unfolds with haunting resonance, each scene heavy with the weight of inevitability. Karika and Marielle, bound by their unyielding ties to the Soldat Syndicate, navigate a world where joy is an elusive specter, as fleeting as the delicate petals of a fading bloom. This is a world where happiness is offered only to be cruelly snatched away, a persistent reminder of their inescapable entrapment. The episode paints a vivid tableau of innocence juxtaposed with corruption, a dance of contrasts and contradictions that echoes the complexity of the human condition. The bouquet, vibrant yet ephemeral, stands as a poignant symbol of transient beauty, a brief respite in lives overshadowed by unrelenting violence and duty. These flowers, vivid against a backdrop of despair, remind us of what might have been, had fate not intervened with its cold, unyielding hand. As Marielle confronts her uncle, the air thickens with profound tension, love distorted by necessity, hope dashed against the jagged contours of inevitability. The scene is an exploration of the human heart, laid bare in its vulnerability. It captures the raw, unvarnished truth of existence, where even the most sacred familial bonds are tainted by the harsh demands of an unforgiving world. In these moments, the anime transcends mere storytelling, transforming into a meditation on the nature of fate and the resilience of the human spirit. The characters find themselves trapped in cycles they cannot break, bound by chains both visible and unseen. Yet, despite the darkness, they strive, they endure, seeking the light that flickers at the edge of their shadowed existence. This is the essence of their journey, a relentless search for meaning in a world that offers none. The episode challenges its audience to find light amid the pervasive darkness, to seek hope where despair reigns supreme. It is a testament to the indomitable spirit, a reflection on the cycles of life that ensnare us all. In the end, Bouquet of Flowers for Marielle is not merely a story. It is a mirror reflecting our own struggles and the enduring quest for redemption. It invites us to question the nature of our own prisons and to ponder the possibility of escape, however distant it may seem. Through its intricate exploration of fate and freedom, the episode poses a universal question. Can we ever truly break free from the chains that bind us? It is a question that lingers long after the screen fades to black, challenging us to seek our own answers in the shadows and the light. The first scene opens with an overhead shot of a car in a murky alley, drenched in greens and yellows, accompanied by unsettling music. A person is assassinated, establishing the episode's villain, while maintaining an air of mystery. Although the identity of the person is not immediately revealed, it becomes apparent a few minutes into the episode. After the opening titles display, Bouquet of Flowers for Marielle in Japanese, the scene cuts to a flashback of Marielle as a child. She is running in a park, laughing in a white flowered dress reminiscent of a bridesmaid's attire. This flashback is bathed in an amber hue, what I call a dark or tar-like color. It effectively emphasizes the golden, bright period of Marielle's childhood, later tarnished by darkness. This choice of color beautifully reflects the duality of her past, avoiding the cliched black and white typically used for flashbacks in cinema, offering a refreshing creative aesthetic. In the flashback, a voice repeatedly calls Marielle's name. I appreciate this because, although in a flashback, the voiceover ties the past to present. This technique is used throughout the episode to show how Marielle and Uncle Claude evoke good memories of each other's past. Marielle crosses a street in Paris and hears someone call her name. She responds with overjoyed excitement, "Uncle Claude." This reaction is unique in the series, as it's the only scene where she shows such unrestrained joy. It highlights a reserved character response, making her reaction more powerful and meaningful, a technique many writers overlook. By choosing specific moments for characters to react, their emotional depth is enhanced. They stop for coffee, and it's mentioned they left Corsica 10 years ago. Uncle Claude reveals that her father's name was Laurent Bouquet, and that Corsica would have been a better place if he were still alive. He asks, "Are you still in the business?" She replies, "You can say that." She then asks, "Are you still working in Paris?" He responds, "That is the plan." Their conversation is laden with subtext, speaking indirectly to maintain secrecy about their ties to the soldats. This indirectness is crucial, as they protect their identities from each other and the public. Another flashback shows Marielle and Claude on a boat 10 years ago. The scene opens with the sound of the boat and the world in amber tones, transitioning to a close-up of them holding hands. This establishes their emotional connection. As a child, Marielle appears sad, lost, and overwhelmed, yet holds herself together after her family's death, with Claude as her surrogate father. The hand-holding underscores their bond, making the episode's conclusion more heartbreaking. In thrillers, character sympathy is vital. Noir excels at building layers of depth, unlike many shows. For instance, Naruto's backstory is simplistic compared to Marielle's and Kurika's complex histories of betrayal and manipulation, adding richness to their characters. When Marielle comes home at night, the Japanese dub has referred to Uncle Claude as a tough teacher. It's unfortunate this was omitted from the English dub, as it's evident he taught her to become an assassin, preparing her for the harsh realities of life, much like children drafted into war or criminal organizations. Claude's impact on her psychology is significant, and this detail should not have been overlooked. Next, Kurika asks Marielle if Uncle Claude knows anything about the soldats. Marielle snaps back, "Of course not. In my opinion." She's in denial, as everyone around her is connected to the soldats. Kurika tells Marielle, "I am happy for you." This shows Kurika's care for Marielle, like a younger sister to an older one. It highlights Kurika's redeeming quality, her ability to care deeply for others. This episode beautifully establishes her bond with Marielle. In a disturbing scene, Claude carries out an assassination at a restaurant, killing a waiter who witnesses the act. The shot of the bullet hole through the serving tray is particularly striking. The scene then shifts to Claude and Marielle talking in public, set to soothing music, a stark contrast to the previous scene. Claude mentions, "Do you remember the park we went to 10 years ago?" She replies, recalling his efforts to cheer her up when they first arrived in Paris. He suggests returning to the park. Their dialogue overlays a flashback of young Marielle being cheered up at the park. This juxtaposition of present-day voices with past events emphasizes their bond and desire to relive happier times before the soldats tainted their lives, adding to the episode heartbreak. Claude asks, "Would you happen to know anything about Noir?" Marielle responds with feigned ignorance, "You mean that Noir? Why do you ask?" Uncle Claude replies, "Oh, nothing. You don't need to ask." Their lies to each other are powerful, underscoring their love and willingness to protect themselves. This subtext suggests the soldats are testing Marielle's loyalty, whether it lies with Kurika or Uncle Claude. The next scene cuts to Altina at her manor, where she's writing a letter, accompanied by Gregorian music. The music continues into the following scene, where a person is being chased by two hitmen working for Claude. The target runs through freight containers, and there's a striking shot of him sprinting, with the darkness between the gaps of the shipping containers at the dock. Another particularly cool shot shows Claude, silhouetted against the sunlight, firing a shot, his figure under silhouette with the sun shining behind him. One aspect I really appreciate about this scene is that it reminds me of my favorite film, Midnight Cowboy, which I saw in theaters last week. In that film, scenes are connected through a musical score. Similarly, in Noir, Claude is linked to the Soldats through this musical motif. In Midnight Cowboy, Joe Buck is cheated out of $20, and he runs to the streets of New York City seeking revenge on Ratso, who scammed him. The film vividly depicts his violent fantasies of killing Ratso, with flashbacks to when Joe and Crazy were assaulted, blending color and black and white imagery to show his inner turmoil. The scene culminates as Joe arrives at a restaurant where he first met Ratso that day, ready to throw a ketchup bottle against the wall. He then flashes back to childhood, recalling a moment when he was throwing ketchup and other items at a window, and his sexually abusive grandmother told him to stop. What makes that Midnight Cowboy scene so powerful is a guitar score reminiscent of Rick James or Isaac Hayes, which underscores emotional weight. When Joe picks up the ketchup bottle, the music cuts out, signaling that all these scenes, his fantasies, flashbacks, and present moment, are interconnected. This technique reveals Joe's unstable mental state, his violent tendencies, and his traumatic past. Using music to link scenes is a brilliant filmmaking device, and I'm grateful I learned it from Noir. The scene then shifts back to Marielle's apartment, where she appears sad. Karika asks what's wrong, and Marielle responds, "Oh, it's nothing." Karika looks concerned and sorrowful, another great trait, as it shows she knows Marielle deeply enough to sense when something is amiss, and it might have performed regrettable assassination. In the shower, Marielle has a flashback to when Uncle Claude asked her if she knew anything about Noir. I like this use of a shower thought, and it's crucial because this flashback foreshadows the episode's ending. Many times in Noir, the story employs flashbacks, which I initially found somewhat overdone, especially those recounting childhood memories. However, here they serve to deepen emotional impact and remind us of what's important, guiding us toward a conclusion with relevant, poignant reflections. I also appreciated that the shower scene was not sexualized or graphically revealing. Everything is left to the viewer's imagination. That's a good choice because it demonstrates that characters don't always need to be sexualized to be compelling. There's a knock at the door and Karika answers it. It's a bouquet of flowers for Marielle. She says, "I think it's a gift from Uncle Claude." Karika responds, "How nice for you." Marielle agrees, "Yeah." The camera zooms in on Marielle's face, capturing a crossfade transition from her initial expression to a more genuine, happy smile. A reaction shot of Karika follows, showing her smile widening into a bigger one. This moment resonates deeply with me because, throughout the series, these characters reach an epiphany of happiness. I also love how the show highlights Karika's care for Marielle, emphasizing her humanity despite being an assassin. In the next scene at Claude's house, a man named Du Bois seeks his help investigating recent murders around Paris. Claude reveals that he was responsible for the killings, which causes Du Bois to laugh. Without warning, Claude shoots him, and Du Bois, shocked and betrayed, realizes too late what's happened. This scene confirms that Claude lives with two hitmen who work for him and that he's clearly aligned with the Soldats. Later, Claude takes Marielle to his home. They show the hallway as they enter, an effective use of foreshadowing, and then move to the greenhouse. Both locations serve as key settings for the climax, adding to the episode's tension. Uncle Claude tells her, "I'm working on a big job right now." She asks, "Do you want me to help you?" He responds, "I want you to stand back and watch." She questions, "What do you mean?" He then shows her a photograph of Karika. Suddenly, they both realize they've been lying, Marielle about not knowing who Noir is, and Claude about his true purpose in Paris. He wasn't there to reunite with her. He was carrying out assassination missions. Claude then says, "I could have handled this myself, but I decided to give you the professional courtesy." I dislike this line because it echoes a common trope in assassin stories, like Kill Bill, where a character has the upper hand but throws it away for a false sense of honor. In Kill Bill, Bill refuses to kill Beatrix while she's in a coma because it would damage his reputation as an assassin, but the deeper reason is that he wants to see her one last time. Similarly, Uncle Claude could have assassinated Karika, but chooses to reveal his plans first, sacrificing advantage for what he perceives as honor. He explains, "Those were our orders," prompting Marielle to realize he's also lying about his allegiance to the Soldats. He responds, "If I don't finish this job, they will crush me, just like they did your father." An abstract shot depicts Marielle's mental state. She's against a black background, with a brief gleam of blue light, less than a second, signaling her epiphany that the Soldats are behind her parents' murder. Claude then states, "LaRue and Bouquet was murdered for defying the Soldats, along with his wife and son." He explains that he swore an oath to them, and that's how they were able to leave Corsica alive, living by the Soldats' grace. He warns her, "Now you know how terrible they really are." When I first watched Noir about 20 years ago, this scene struck me powerfully. It made me see the Soldats as almost omnipotent, like unstoppable humans, like ants beneath their feet. Claude continues with metaphor, comparing the Soldat's power to plants he's tending, saying, "We are far beyond these flowers. Once the Soldats sink their roots into you, they are in your soul forever. Please don't make the same foolish mistake your father did." She responds, "I understand. I will bring her back tonight." If I haven't said it before, I believe the Soldats are giving Marielle a choice to betray her Uncle Claude or Karika. Claude finishes with, "And once it's all taken care of, let's go back to the lake. The water has never been clearer." That metaphor is poignant. It signifies that both of them now see clearly. Marielle has gained knowledge of the Soldats' evil and their omnipotence. It's heartbreaking because there are two possible outcomes for this episode. Marielle can betray Karika to live happily with her uncle, or she can betray her uncle and face the Soldats eventually. The scene cuts to Marielle doing target practice, crying repeatedly, foreshadowing the difficult choice she'll have to make: killing Uncle Claude. He's shown enjoying his wine, looking at a picture of himself and Marielle from 10 years ago, when she was a little girl. This adds emotional weight and depth to characters, reinforcing the theme that life is heartbreaking, but that you must keep moving forward through difficult choices. I appreciate this because Noir explores deep character development, making us genuinely care about them through emotional weight. In the thriller genre, caring about the characters is essential, and Noir masters this craft skillfully. One thing I'll say about Noir is that the series does a remarkable job of exploring its characters and revealing new facets of their struggles, avoiding repetition. Unlike anime like Naruto, which often rehashes Naruto's trauma, being an outcast, losing his parents in a war, and repeatedly emphasizes themes of breaking cycles of hatred and choosing peace, Noir manages to delve deeper without feeling repetitive. Naruto often relies on endless speeches and revisiting the same emotional beats, especially through flashbacks to his childhood. In contrast, Noir doesn't feel that Marielle's past is overexplored or redundant. Instead, it offers a fresh perspective and an added layer of mystery. I wish there was an episode that depicted Marielle's growth from a little girl into a cold-hearted assassin, perhaps showing her training with her uncle, learning to kill, with the Soldats viewing her as part of the Noir prophecy. That would have been a powerful addition, illustrating her transformation and the sinister fate that awaits her. At night, Marielle secretly leaves the house, wanting to go alone, and asks Karika to follow her. On the street, Karika catches up with her, and I'm very impressed by Karika's defiance. She actually confronts Marielle. It's very telling that Marielle ultimately relents, revealing that she either confided in Karika or that Karika already knows what's happening. Karika asks, "So you're not turning back?" implying that Marielle is choosing to face this heartbreaking task voluntarily. The two hitmen try to ambush Karika by throwing a coin, distracting her, knowing she has a heightened sense of hearing. However, she manages to fire her gun to her coat pocket, killing both of them. This scene clearly demonstrates that if Marielle had set up an ambush with the hitmen and Uncle Claude, they wouldn't have succeeded in killing Karika. It's a subtle but powerful visual of Karika's resilience and the strength of her skills. Claude, in the greenhouse, pulls out his gun and begins to imagine Marielle as a little girl, dressed in pink, holding a teddy bear, smiling because he rescued her from the darkness and pain of witnessing her family's murder. She looks up at him like a puppy, seeking guidance. This imagery is devastatingly heartbreaking, emphasizing how cruel fate has been to these characters. It hits me so deeply that I almost want to punch a table because of the sheer emotional weight of their suffering. He then visualizes her as a young girl in the greenhouse, and one of the most powerful shots in the entire series appears. Marielle is a 10-year-old girl in pink sandals, with a crossfade to her current self, her shoes now dark black. This transition symbolizes how she has changed, from an innocent girl overcoming immense sadness to a soul darkened by her role as an assassin for the Soldats. Usually, such scenes end in black, symbolizing the closing of a chapter or the impending end of life. It's a haunting visual that suggests her innocence has been lost, and her future is bleak. Marielle tearfully says, "We cannot go back to that lake. I am so sorry." Claude, in a chilling tone, remarks, "It would seem you are Noir and Bouquet's daughter to the very end." They aim their guns at each other, like a duel. If you look closely, Claude fires deliberately through her hair, intentionally missing her head, revealing his love for her. He's willing to sacrifice everything for her, even at the risk of his own life. She responds by shooting him. He falls backward into plants and flower pots, breaking them, a sound that echoes eerily, symbolizing the death of hope, purity, and happiness for her. The broken plants and pots serve as a visual metaphor, foreshadowing Claude's earlier remark about the Soldats having roots that dig into people's souls. It's a stark reminder of their insidious influence. Afterward, Marielle and Karika leave the greenhouse. A beautiful shot follows, a pink petal drifting through the air and landing softly on the ground as they walk away into darkness, ending the episode. The use of music in this episode is also noteworthy, repetitive yet deeply emotive, with flutes, piano, and electric piano creating a haunting, sorrowful atmosphere. The director's skillful use of the score amplifies the emotional impact, making this one of the saddest episodes in the series, perhaps even more heartbreaking than the Season of Hell episode. It truly makes you feel for Marielle, and it's also more tragic because she has grown into a person who suppresses her emotions, unlike Karika, who cries more freely. This contrast reminds me of the idea that some people are like wounded beasts, knowing how much they hurt because of the arrows embedded in them. It's a powerful metaphor for human pain. Many suffer in silence, with no one aware they're suffering. This episode hits me deeply, touching on the raw, broken heart of these characters. This episode, A Bouquet of Flowers for Marielle, is a masterful exploration of pain, sacrifice, and the loss of innocence. It delves deeply into Marielle's tragic transformation from a vulnerable girl into a cold assassin, haunted by her past and manipulated by forces she barely understands. The visual metaphors, the blackened shoes, the broken flowers, the drifting petal, serve as haunting symbols of her innocence lost and the corrupting influence of soldats. The haunting score amplifies emotional devastation, making it one of the most heartbreaking episodes in the series, surpassing even Season of Hell. It's a poignant reminder that beneath the cold veneer of these characters lies raw, unspoken suffering, pain that often goes unnoticed by the world. Noir isn't just a story about assassins. It's a profound meditation on human despair, resilience, and the difficult choices we make in the face of darkness. A Bouquet of Flowers for Marielle leaves an indelible mark, an emotional punch to the gut that lingers long after the credits roll. It stands as a testament to the series' mastery of storytelling, character development, and the power of silence and symbolism. Truly, a tragic masterpiece of haunting beauty. I lost my soul a few years ago and I'm completely heartbroken. But this episode makes me feel the feeling of heartbreak.